Has the long fabled legendary altcoin season finally arrived? Don't jinx the lark. It feels like we've been waiting for this for so long, but could the waiting game finally be over? Famous last words, right? Maybe we're at the very beginning of some kind of altcoin impulse, let's say. That's the main question for today's video. We're gonna dive into the charts to get an answer on this question with data, not just opinion, okay? Then we'll discuss some related issues. Now, let's start with Bitcoin dominance. Right now, Bitcoin's dominance is at 58%. Now let's overlay Bitcoin's dominance with the orange line here with crypto's total market cap, excluding Bitcoin and stablecoins. That's the blue line. This is called the total 2ES, excluding stables. And again, the total 2ES takes into account all the altcoins, just excludes Bitcoin and stablecoin. Now, I think the specific overlay gives us the best picture of the different phases of altcoin season. Historically speaking, meaning if we're trying to determine if some kind of altcoin impulse has started, then we need to know what the beginning and middle of altcoin season actually looks like. So let's keep this very simple. This is what the middle of altcoin season looks like. We're talking about these parabolic mountain peaks in the total 2ES with Bitcoin dominance below 48%. Okay, this is a very critical part. Bitcoin dominance has to be falling at the same time that we see altcoins popping off. That's the middle of altcoin season. Now, clearly, we are not in the middle of altcoin season at this particular time, are we? No, the charts do not say that. The total 2ES is still ranging under a multi-cycle resistance line, and Bitcoin's dominance is not below 48%. So now that we know what the middle of altcoin season looks like, historically speaking, we can identify what the beginning of altcoin season tends to look like. And I know we have a small data set overall, so take it all with a grain of salt. Past performance does not indicate future returns, but if we compare our current situation to the past to determine if indeed altcoin season has started, we're going to find something very interesting. Before we get into that, guys, if you're trading these cryptocurrency markets, you need a good exchange to do that at. That place is Bit-Unix, where I'm doing most of my futures trading these days. You can join me over there. It's very simple. All you have to do is use the link down below. You can long the rips, short the dips. No KYC, no VPN, no BS. Super easy to use, available to anyone, anywhere. That's you. And when you sign up, you get a 30% fee discount. You're going to get a $400 deposit bonus when you deposit $2,000 or more. Crazy trading bonuses. And for the rest of the month of September, we're giving away $1,000 every live stream. If you want to be in to win, link down below. You got to be signed up. Check it out. Okay, so look, let's isolate the total 2ES chart. Now, if the parabolic peaks are the middle of altcoin season, obviously the beginnings are before that, but where? Well, I think the most reasonable answer is when the total 2ES breaks out above its former all-time high. So for the last cycle, that would be February 2021, and for 2 cycles ago, we're gonna say around November 2017. Now, to be clear, we didn't have an altcoin season before the 2017 cycle. There's very small data sets. We're entering the asset maturation phase of crypto. Things can be different, okay? But we'll have to call it good enough because that's all the data we have to work with. This is the point when the total 2ES began its parabolic ascent in 2017. So there you have it. That's one of the markers of the beginning of altcoin season. The total 2ES basically needs to be breaking the previous cycle's all-time high, as that's a great indicator that the next parabolic move in altcoins is starting. Now, let's overlay Bitcoin's dominance again and look at what happened to Bitcoin dominance in the past 2 cycles at these points that we've just marked. Well, in both cycles, Bitcoin's dominance was in the 60s, and of course it dropped precipitously, rather violently in fact. So I think we now know the markers of the beginning of altcoin season. First, the total 2ES needs to be breaking its previous all-time highs, and second, Bitcoin dominance needs to be consistently dropping, falling from the 60s and breaking, of course, whatever uptrend it was in at the time. That's what history has told us. And again, history is not a perfect predictor of the future, but it can get you in tune with some of the rhyming of the market. So let's test both these factors against our current situation to see if, well, we have some kind of altcoin impulse we could be looking at in the near future. Both factors need to be achieved here. Let's start with the second factor. Has Bitcoin's dominance made a precipitous drop below the 60s? Well, guess what? It indeed has done that very thing. Our Bitcoin dominance chart is signaling the beginning of a major breakdown of Bitcoin dominance and therefore a beginning of an altcoin impulse. We're good here. What about our first factor? Has the total 2ES broken last cycle's all-time high? It has not. The number to beat from last cycle is 1.6 trillion. Right now, the total 2ES is at 1.44 trillion, and that's accounting for the tens of millions of new coins that have been launched since the last cycle. So guys, if we're gonna be fair and objective here, then I think we have to say that the altcoin season has not really started yet. It means there's still time to fill the bags if you wanted to get something, but probably not for much longer. We need both factors fulfilled. We've only got one so far. It means we're heading in the right direction, but we're not there yet. Now, if we're going to be fair here, then we also really should say that we're really, really close and that altcoin season could start any week now. And that's because only 160 billion needs to flow into the total 2 ES for us to be back at our previous all-time highs. 160 billion, that ain't nothing in crypto, man. That can happen like that. My hot take is that we have not yet started altcoin season, but we're super, super close. We might get rejected at that very close mark and have to consolidate more. Market's been testing us a lot this cycle. Now, since I've given you my answer, let's take a look at some of the altcoin season indexes and see how they align with what I've just said. So here's the altcoin season index chart from CoinMarketCap. Now you can see it, the altcoin season index line just tipped over into altcoin season on the 18th. So CoinMarketCap seems to think that there's an altcoin impulse starting to begin. The Blockchain Center's index says the altcoin season started on September 11th, and CoinGlass gives the same date. Well, guys, it seems like the classic indexes are saying that our analysis is not exactly spot on here, but maybe we should take these indexes with a grain of salt because after all, they also say that we've had 3 altcoin seasons since last cycle. Do you feel like you've had 3 altcoin seasons since last cycle? I know there's been tiny windows where altcoins have had slight outperformance, but that ain't been an altcoin season, man. You're around 2021, that was an altcoin season. This is not altcoin season we've had recently. December 2021 was like 2 weeks of altcoin outperformance and screwed again. Anyways, without getting too much into the weeds here on if altcoin season has officially begun or not, I do think it's safe to say that if altcoin season has not yet officially started, it will likely be starting within the next few weeks. We need to watch for that breakout of the total 2 ES. And that's because the timing would align with the past 2 cycles here as well. So here's the total 2 ES again, with Bitcoin's last 3 halvings marked with the white vertical lines. Now, in the last 2 cycles, altcoins really kicked into high gear during Q4 periods that were 1.5 years following their respective halvings. That's the period we're in right now. October officially begins Q4, just a few days away. That lines up with Solana ETFs, wide range of crypto ETFs, and all the other stuff. That's the period that is happening now, okay? We just got a rate cut. Markets are happy. 2 more should be coming this year. So alt season really is on the cusp here, guys. So if you didn't prepare yesterday for all this, then get prepared today and not 2 weeks from now, because by then it could be too late. You never know, the Japanese yen crisis, carry trade come line again or some bullshit, markets will have a significant pullback. We don't know the future, but if we look at these charts, it would say that sooner than later, we're going to see something big happen in the altcoin space. So here's the deal. If altcoin season is just about to start, then how long should we expect it to last? Well, that's a tough one to answer, to be honest, because it presupposes that we know whether we're still in a 4-year cycle or whether we're in an extended cycle, and I'm an extended cycle theorist, let's say, but it remains to be proven. The 4-year cycle, it's now or never to prove it, essentially. Now, to be clear, I'm really don't know how this is going to all end up, but I'm very interested in the extended cycle thesis and the asset maturation thesis and the ETF thesis. If we're in the 4-year cycle, you want to have unloaded all your altcoin bags before you head off to your New Year's Eve party. And that's because in both of the last 2 cycles, altcoins really started the downward descent once the calendar flipped over to the new year. So look, we covered a lot of ground here, but just keep watching to see if the total 2 ES can break its previous all-time high. When that happens, that's when the fireworks probably start. If we get that with Bitcoin's dominance continuing to fall, which is likely going to be the scenario, then altcoin season has most definitely begun. Remember, history says the party stops by the end of Q4. So make sure you've taken what you want off the table, just in case the 4-year cycle is what plays out again. My guess, we get a big local top in Q4, one that's big enough to make everybody think that it's effing over, and then in 2026, we go up to the next big local top. Maybe the final cycle peak. Anyway, we'll be following up with more videos, keeping tabs on this topic for you. Thanks for watching.